Hey, what's up everyone? Bestinwest here, and in today's video, I'm actually using a different team than what I've been using these past few weeks, or few episodes, right? Before I was using Altaria, Munchlax, and Registeel, and here I am actually running Altaria, Medicham, and Registeel. And the reason why I'm using Medicham is because I wanted more coverage against Registeel. Like, Munchlax can deal with Registeel, but it doesn't beat it very well, right? And Medicham kind of does that. And so the things that you need to watch out for with Medicham are the ghost types and also like Azumarill, right? Medicham doesn't have too many moves that are going to be dealing damage to Azumarill. Also, you need a perfect Medicham to get the max stats, or as good of stats as possible. Mine is also not best buddied, but it is perfect. And the moveset I'm running on Medicham is Ice Punch and Psychic. And that's because I'm using it kind of in the place of Munchlax, right? Which means this is going to be a safe swap. The safe swap is going to be out of a Altaria, right? So if I run into Registeel, I switch into Medicham. Medicham is kind of doing similar things as a what's it called? A Vigoroth, right? The counter user, that's the switch in. But it would not do good if they have a Haunter. But fortunately, most people aren't running Haunter, I think. And Medicham is going to be able to deal with Registeel, any of the dark type Pokemon. So that's why I have Medicham in that slot. And the reason why I'm running Psychic instead of Dynamic Punch or Power Up Punch, because I want that coverage for Azumarill. So when I'm locked in with Medicham, I'm not just stuck, right? Like, if I ran Fighting and Ice move, then nothing would deal neutral damage to Azumarill. Psychic at least deals stab, neutral damage, and it has a chance of lowering its stats, right? But that's the team I'm running with, and yeah, let's see how I do. And as you can see right here, I am in rank 8. Rank 8 is definitely a grind. It's really hard. I'm still in rank 8. Rank 9 seems like so hard to get to. Like, at this time last season, I think I was rank 9 already, but this season, oh man, I'm just not getting there. Anyways, let's get to the battles. So in this first battle, I am going up against TQ Zaid Magia. So I lead off with, oh, actually, let me change this. I am actually running Azumarill, Medicham, and Registeel. Alright, so I'm actually running Azumarill, and Azumarill kind of does similar things to Altaria, but it is weak to grass types, right? But because I have ice moves on Azumarill, I have Ice Beam on Azumarill, and I also have Ice Punch on Medicham, plus I have Registeel that can deal with the grass types somewhat. That's how I'm getting my coverage with against the grass types, right? So let's get into the battles. So Azumarill versus Altaria. This is a good matchup for Azumarill. You do have to watch out for that switch, and so I don't really have too many good answers to Azumarill though. I'm not going to switch in Medicham, and at this point Azumarill has energy lead, and so I'm going to stay in this. I'm going to try to get to another Hydro Pump, and I think this is going to be a Hydro Pump. Yes, so they are going to be running Hydro Pump, Ice Beam. So I should win this matchup. It should be pretty close still. I didn't get too much. I got some extra energy, and that's why I should be able to win this. And the reason why I didn't switch out is because my Registeel is going to be able to deal with that Altaria. So as long as I can get rid of this Azumarill with my Azumarill, then it should be fine. And I get rid of that Azumarill with that Hydro Pump, and they bring in Lucario. And so I just let my Azumarill faint right there, and then I'm going to bring in my Medicham. And this could be a Shadow Ball. I wasn't counting very well, but it is. So that was a good block. And they bring in Altaria. And I believe, yep, I shield that because it would have dealt super effective damage. I switch into my Registeel. So now it's Registeel versus Altaria, but I am at a significant shield disadvantage, right? Two shields to 0. And yeah, and remember, I don't have a knockout move against Lucario. I have Ice Punch, which is going to be dealing not very effective damage, and I have Psychic, which is going to deal neutral damage, but it takes some time to get there, right? So let's see how this goes. So I'm going to get my second Flash Cannon off, and they decide to let that go. And they're going to switch into Lucario, and I'm able to get a Flash Cannon off. Not sure if this is... It does knock out Lucario just because Lucario is so squishy. They have a Sky Attack. I do not believe this is going to KO, but it's going to deal a lot of damage, and these Dragon Breaths are going to pile up really fast. So even though I had the lead, my Medicham being weak to that flying attack really hurt me, right? And also that Shadow Ball on that Lucario, not having a super effective charge move against Lucario that charges fast really hindered me there. But anyways, getting to this next battle, Azumarill versus Swampert. This is a good matchup against Swampert. Both Ice Beam and Hydro Pump are going to be dealing neutral damage. Swampert, I do have to watch out for that Sludge Wave though. It would deal a significant amount of damage, but they bait me. So that's one of the hard things with this matchup, right? Azumarill does have to watch out for Sludge Wave, because it would knock down the health significantly. So I'm going to go ahead and use an Ice Beam right here. I do draw the shield, so now I'm going to go ahead and go for another Ice Beam. They are going to get to a Sludge Wave, and that's going to deal a significant amount of damage. I'm going to farm up a little bit and switch into my Registeel, hoping that this is a Sludge Wave because I have no more shields. Yes, so I am able to effectively neutralize his energy, and trying to get to that Flash Cannon, it would have almost knocked it out, but wouldn't have knocked it out. Go ahead and get this Flash Cannon off, and this will pretty much knock out Swampert. Yes. So eating that Hydro Cannon kind of sucked, but it's okay. So now we're on pretty much neutral energy. He is going to get to a Flash Cannon before I get to a Focus Blast. He overcharged a little bit, I think, and that's going to help him. And he goes for this Focus Blast. He didn't want to risk it. So now I have a decision to make. Remember, I don't have a knockout move on my Medicham, and that really sucks. So he switches into Altaria. I do have Ice Punch though. Ice Punch is going to deal double super effective damage to Altaria, and I'm going to go ahead and switch into my Azumarill, and I'm going to over farm this because I know I can take one Sky Attack, and I need that energy for the Registeel in the back. So I'm going to over farm this. 2, 3, and then I'm going to throw this Ice Beam. So now I have some extra energy so that I can get to that Hydro Pump against that Registeel. So I'm hoping I can get to this Hydro Pump. Yes, I get to the Hydro Pump, and I think that was just in time. I'm pretty sure he got to Flash Cannon just right after this. So he overfarmed a little bit, knowing that I just spent all my energy on that Hydro Pump. And this Flash Cannon should knock me out. Yes, and I have Medicham in the back, and that's GG. So that's where Medicham is definitely better than Munchlax, dealing super effective damage to that Registeel, and also double super effective damage to that Altaria. But as you just saw in the first battle, that Medicham is part fighting type, so it's going to be taking super effective damage from that from those flying attacks. So Dugong. So Azumarill versus Dugong. Dugong actually wins this matchup, I believe. Bubbles, not very effective damage. Hydro Pump, not very effective damage. Also, Icy Wind is going to be debuffing my attack stat. So I go ahead and eat that attack stat debuff and bring in my Registeel, and they bring in their Azumarill after this. So this is actually a pretty even matchup, and I am ahead on energy. So I'm counting these bubbles. I think that's 4, 5, 6, and he's probably at 7 on that switch in. So I believe I shield this. Yes, because a lot of people will throw Hydro Pump on the first move against Registeel in this matchup. So pretty much you just don't want to shield an Ice Beam, and a lot of people don't want to risk throwing an Ice Beam early because Registeel can take at least one Hydro Pump. So I get that second one off, and I get this Ice Beam off right away on this Azumarill. And so they're either going to shield an Ice Beam, or they're going to let go of all that energy. So they decide to shield, and they throw their own charge move right here. And it is Play Rough. So they have Play Rough Hydro Pump on their Azumarill. So I gotta keep that in mind. They bring Dugong back in and go ahead and use Icy Wind. And at this point, I'm just gonna throw Hydro Pumps. I'm switch locked at this point. I don't really have too many options right here. So just Hydro Pumps, and I'm hoping they just go ahead and knock me out with the charge move, and they do. So luckily for me. And now I believe I can bring back Reggie. No, I go ahead and bring my Medicham in. And the reason why I bring Medicham in is because I want to go ahead and bring this Dugong pretty low, get some energy, but they switch out into their Azumarill, and I have a shield. And so I'm going to go ahead and use this shield, and I'm going to farm down this Azumarill. That Play Rough would have done a lot of damage, and I'm going to farm down this Azumarill, and then I'm going to have enough energy to throw a charge move against this Dugong. But they have two Pokemon left. So they have Dugong and this Altaria. So I have charged energy, but they are going to not... I'm pretty low on health, so I think I get to 2 Flash Cannons. And I have energy on my Medicham, so luckily for me, I charged up a little extra energy. So they're either gonna... They have to throw that energy, luckily for me. And I'm going to go ahead and switch into my Medicham and knock out that Dugong right away. So they tried to do a fast switch, but that Dugong is weak against my Medicham's counter anyways. So I get that Ice Punch off, and that's GG. So far in this set, I am currently 2-1, losing that first match, right? So this team can be viable. It's definitely a luck thing. Like, you never know what you're gonna come up against in GBL. Like I mentioned, against another Azumarill, it's kind of a hard situation because Azumarill versus Azumarill is neutral, right? Registeel versus Azumarill is definitely neutral as well, depending on shields, baits, and energy. So, and then Medicham loses to Azumarill. So this team is kind of weak to Azumarill essentially, but I've been able to deal with it for the most part. Anyways, let's just get on to these next battles. Nari 2525X. So I lead off with Azumarill against a Shiftry, so grass types, right? So this is not the best option for me. So I switch into my Medicham, and they bring in their Azumarill. So this is where Psychic comes in handy. It's not necessarily the best option, but in a bad situation where, like, for example, you're switch locked, like I am right here, I can at least get these Psychics off. I'm going to go ahead and shield this because I was counting they had enough for a Hydro Pump, but they ended up going with the Ice Beam. So now I'm going to get a second Psychic off. I'm hoping they let this go. They do let this go, and now it's in farming range. We're going to get another charge move off. I think it's going to be an Ice Beam, so I let this go. And so I burned an extra shield, but now I've gained switch advantage. So they bring in Deoxys, and I'm just going to go ahead. I'm resisting these counters. I'm going to go ahead and try to get these Ice Punches off. There was a little lag there, as you saw. I wasn't able to get to that Ice Punch. Didn't get an excellent on the Ice Punch, but it's fine. Get excellent on this Ice Punch and do some last second damage. They have a lot of energy on this Deoxys now. I'm going to bring in my Azumarill. I'm hoping it's not a Thunderbolt. I'm going to let this go. It is a Thunderbolt. And they go ahead and bring in Shiftry with loaded energy. And I'm going to go ahead and shield this Leaf Blade. And now it's 2 shields to 0. Not in the best of situations, but I know I need that Azumarill for Deoxys. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in my Registeel, and I guess I could have played this a little bit differently, but Registeel versus Shiftry is a better matchup. than Azumarill versus Shiftry. It's gonna get to one more. I'm gonna go ahead and use this Flash Cannon. They're probably gonna shield it up, and they might try to farm. No, they go ahead and let that go. Deoxys. And that's actually pretty smart, because now all they need to do is get a Thunderbolt off pretty much on my Azumarill, and they have a shield left, right? So they go ahead and get that Thunderbolt off, and now all they need is a Rock Slide. Thunderbolt and a Rock Slide, and I need to get to 2 Ice Beams. So that's 1, and I'm pretty sure they're going to get to the Rock Slide before I get to a second Ice Beam. Right there. Yep. So Rock Slide or Thunderbolt would have KO'd me, so GG, well played. They got the lead and I just couldn't come back. Like, I almost did, but it just wasn't enough. Yeah. So anyways, moving on to the next battle, Azumarill mirror match. So like I mentioned, if it's running play rough, Azumarill with a play rough will beat it, but otherwise Hydro Pump is going to be the move that you're going to be wanting to run. So I'm trying to piggyback right here, trying to get any kind of advantage I can. So they did use a Hydro Pump. I did get the piggyback, but they got one off of me, so now the energy should be pretty neutral. My Azumarill is pretty good in terms of PvP IVs, so, but yeah, not really sure how this is going to play out. So they're going to use a second Hydro Pump. So it seems like they're up on energy, but I am able to get to a Hydro Pump right after their Hydro Pump, so let's see how this works out. Just back and forth. Looks like we're pretty similar in terms of PvP IVs. I'm going to go ahead and use this Ice Beam. They get to theirs first, and I think I let this go. I do let this go. And I'm going to bring in my Registeel. No, I'm going to bring in my Medicham. Yes, I'm going to hit it a few times, deal some damage, and then No, okay, cool. So I thought I was going to try and make a switch into Registeel, but I was lucky enough to be able to farm down that Azumarill. And they bring out Altaria. Altaria is going to take double super effective from my Ice Punches, and I'm able to get to a second Ice Punch before they're able to throw a Sky Attack. Those Dragon Breaths are dealing a decent chunk of damage, so I'm going to go ahead and switch straight into Registeel. I am up a shield, and so I'm going to go ahead and try to bait this. This is I hate this matchup so much, Registeel versus Registeel, because it's such a risky, it's so risky, right? Like, you either deal a ton of damage or no damage. Luckily for me, they also try to bait, and so we're back on even energy pretty much, and I am up in shields, so I go ahead and let go of this Focus Blast, and they decide not to shield that. Altaria versus Registeel, I also have 2 shields, so I believe I let this one go. That's probably a mistake. It's a Dragon Pulse, deals a ton of damage. I'm going to get to a Flash Cannon, but these Dragon Breaths are going to do work, and they let that go. So it seems like they just gave up on that match, right? So this team is, I'm not convinced with this team, right? Azumarill, Medicham, Registeel, like, I went 3-2 in this set, and that's not terrible at all. 3-2 is still a positive, so my MMR still went up, but I didn't like how I felt against Azumarill. Azumarill being such a strong presence in GBL, I felt like I needed to have a better answer to Azumarill than my own Azumarill or Registeel. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Do you guys like this team? Should I try a different team? Let me know in the comments section below what team I should try out. I'm still in rank 8, dropped a lot of MMR recently, and trying to climb my way back up. I was at I think I was 24-20, and then now I'm 23-20. So just rising up and down, just stuck here. So if you guys have like some kind of magical team, please let me know in the comment section below. But that'll do it for this video. If you guys enjoyed it, please make sure you hit that thumbs up. And until next time, this is Bestinwest. I'll catch you guys later.